someone messaged me in my DMs and said, why did you start writing? And I said one word, survival. It was about me surviving. It was about me finding myself and finding healing and trying to figure out at 58 my place in the world, where I belong. Hey, I'm Sandra Griffiths and you're entering a world gone good.
Well, hello, my name's Steve, and this is the place where we shine the light on everyday people making good happen each and every day. Welcome to World Gone Good. All 4 of my books in my series, The Dog Walking Detectives, are available for your summer reading pleasure on both Barnes & Noble and Kobo websites. We are talking Drowntown, Murder Unmasked, Season Slayings, and Cupid's Curse, the newest one. That's a whole lot of cozy mystery goodness going on. As a self-published independent author, your support means the world to me. Go get your good read time on with my books on Barnes & Noble and Kobo websites. And as always, I say, for doing so, thank you. Speaking of books, as you may know, because I just told you, I write cozy mysteries. It can be quite a challenge to map out a decent whodunit, but I love the process from start to finish. Well, more the start part, the finish part can be annoying. But to me, it's a challenge because, you know, putting your voice into something that you're writing and trying to get that across, it can be hard, not going to lie. But it can be really great when it works. My guest today understands this challenge oh too well. Sandra Griffiths is a poet who published her first book, Becoming Me. In it, she opens her heart with a powerful collection of poems that traced her journey as a mother, daughter, and woman, finding her voice through life's storms. Becoming Me is a tender, soulful reminder that even through pain and change, we are always becoming stronger, softer, and more ourselves. Here comes Sandra Griffiths to share her good journey. So we recently had a wonderful guest named Sarah Cleaver, a registered nurse herself, a 50-pluser who was redefining her life. She was in her done-dimming era, as she called it, and you can go back and listen to that episode. It's a few back. And then Sarah, out of nowhere, writes me and says, you should have on my friend Sandra. And here we are. That's how easy it is to get on World Gone Good.
Okay.
It's a very easy application and interview process. Someone says, you should have this person. I contact them. If they write me back and say, yeah, I'll do it. Here you are. So the question obviously is that we begin with, Sandra, how do you know Sarah?
Well, I know Sarah. Sarah is one of my followers on a new account that I created on Instagram to build some form of media presence for my book that came out. That's how I know Sarah. She follows me, basically.
Oh, okay. She's like a stalker. I love it. All right,
yeah.
let's go back a step here. Have you been on social media prior?
Yes, I was on social media prior to that. I'm on Facebook and I did have another Instagram account, but I decided to delete that one and go from scratch with 0 followers, i.e. no real friends and family. So I started from nothing. And yeah, I've built up a steady following for this book. Well, my book, which is now out. And Sarah is one of those people who wanted to click on and follow on my journey. But I think maybe because, well, I've recently retired, I think the fact that I was a nurse, we had that in common. I'm coming up 58 this year. Sarah's in her 50s. I don't know, maybe that's why she clicked on and wanted to jump on my journey.
I love it. Now, I have an accent and you have an accent. And I love when people here in the UK say to me, "Oh my gosh," I won't even do it. I'll try. Ready? They'll say things like, they'll go, "Oh my gosh, I love your accent. Would you keep talking?" And I'm like, I don't have an accent. You have an accent. Okay, but you have an accent and you are from St. Helens.
No, I do have an accent. I live in St. Helens now, but I am from Manchester proudly, the bee city.
See? I knew it. I knew it because, okay. Because you will agree with this, I think. All parts of the UK, it's like the United States. There's a different texture.
We all sound different. We do not sound the same.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell a Londoner, you can tell someone that's from Birmingham, and you can tell someone that's from Manchester. And I am a proud Mancunian. Wherever I travel in the world, sometimes I don't even have to say people, "Oh, you're from Manchester." They say I have a strong Manc accent, which I'm proud of.
I love it because my friends Shannon and John, they are up in right outside of Newcastle, I believe, Jarrow area. And I think that counts as a Manc kind of accent too, because you sound like her.
Newcastle and Manchester. I don't think so, but
Okay, see, again, what do I know? Nothing. Accents can be something, is what I'm saying. But that's not the reason we're here. We are here for a lot of reasons, and you've already hit upon it. I want to start here, though. You're a retired nurse. My husband was a nurse for 30 years. Sarah Cleaver was a nurse. Huge props out to being nursing in the nurses in the nursing world. What got you into nursing?
I wanted a career. I was a single mother at the time, and I had been my son's carer for many years because my son has autism. He is now high functioning, but at the time he needed care. And I decided that I was going to be the one to look after him. So I devoted my time to looking after Montel as well as my girls. And then when he reached a stage where he was able to navigate the world, should I say, on his own, I decided that I needed some form of a career. And I thought, well, I'm really good at caring. I'm good at communicating with people. And I decided to go into nursing. But when I left school, I didn't come out with many qualifications. So it wasn't an easy road. But that's the short version of how I got into nursing.
And did you love it?
Did I love it? Well, let's just put it this way. Once I'd qualified, it wasn't what I thought it. I'm not sure what I expected, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It was really demanding. You had a lot of expectations on you. And when I first qualified, you had to hit the ground running really, really quickly and learn. So yeah, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I'm not sure what I thought it was going to be, but once I'd qualified and someone gave me a set of keys and said, "Off you go," I just thought, wow, okay. But then I think when I qualified, the area that I went to work in possibly wasn't the best choice. So my first post was in elderly medicine, and I just thought, wow, is this what I've worked for? And then I moved into trauma and orthopedics, which I absolutely loved. And then after a stint in that, I found my home, which was in gynecology, women's health. There was something really empowering about looking after women, seeing them go through the service, and you being a small part in their journey to becoming well and going home again.
And there really is something in certain careers where you have to be present and in the moment and you can't be distracted, right?
Mm.
Were you always a present person or did this force you more to live in that presence?
Well, that's a good question because I've suffered with depression for a long time. And a few years ago, I was diagnosed with BPD, which is borderline personality disorder. And I would say about halfway through my nursing career, I found I was struggling at work. Now, as a nurse, you have to be able to leave your problems at the door and pick them up on your way home. And when I first started, I was able to do that. But as I got deeper into my career, I did start to struggle because nursing is a job where you have to be 100% present. You have to be on your game because I was working with patients that I was picking up and prepping for theatre. So I was looking after patients that were going to theatre and coming from theatre. So you monitor them pre and post op, and you have to be on your game because patients can become acutely unwell when they come back from theatre. So you have to know what you're doing and you have to be on your game.
I love that you call it theater here.
Why? What do you call it in America?
Surgery.
Oh, okay. Surgery. No, we say theatre.
Yep. Listen, these are the things we learn, right, as we go. I love it. Now, you at some point began writing. You always were a writer. You dabbled in writing. You had journals. What was your writing journey? What has your writing journey been?
I never set out to be a writer. You know how you get some people that say, oh, I really wanted to be an author? No, I don't want to say by accident because I don't believe that things in your life happen by accident. I believe that they happen at the right time. So, like I mentioned before, I was struggling at work and I didn't know what was wrong. So I decided to go and see my GP, and I was referred to the mental health team. And after seeing a raft of healthcare professionals, I was diagnosed with severe depression, anxiety, BPD, and they said that they believed that I was on the spectrum somewhere, either with ADHD or autism, but they couldn't quite work out which one. So after giving me all these labels, I remember sitting there in this room thinking, well, what do I do now? And one of the first things that they do is they want to give you medication. And I thought, I don't want any more tablets. I'm currently taking things for comorbidities that I already have. I don't want anything else. So I said to this lovely psychiatrist, is there anything you can recommend? And he said CBT and counselling. And I thought, I don't want any more counselling. I'm counselled out. I don't want any more of that, thanks. So he said, have you thought of writing? So I said, no. So at the time I was struggling to sleep. I think it's menopause. My sleep hasn't been the same since I started on that journey, but that's a whole different topic. So I decided to keep a pad and pen at the side of my bed. And when I couldn't sleep, I started writing, and I was surprised at the things that I had that were inside my head. And that's how the writing came about. And I decided to keep a journal. One of my girls bought me a happiness journal, and I write in that journal every day one thing that makes me smile every single day. So I did that and kept a writing diary and a writing journal, and that's how my writing journey started.
Wow, we have so much in common. So a few years ago, we started a happy jar. And what we do is we have this jar, and it says happy jar on it. And it's right on the counter. And there's a little bowl next to it with pieces of paper and pen. And every day, we just put something in from that day that made us happy. And what we do, my husband and I, is at the end of the year, on New Year's Eve, we dump them all out on the floor and we start reading them off. They all have a date on it. And it's amazing because it is usually the simplest of things, you
Isn't
know?
it?
You know what I mean? Like I got really good garlic shredder press something, you know what I mean? Or so I can't even think of one. You know what I mean? Like it's the simplest of things that of course the big stuff is in there, the trips, right? And the big events and this happened and we went to that concert or whatever. But it's the little everyday things that when you take notice of and you forget and then you're like, "Oh yeah, that happened."
Mm,
And it really is a magical thing. The other thing I want to say is I too, as a writer, have a journal next to my bed. I've talked about it before. My
really?
Yeah, my problem is that I like wake up in the morning and try to read what the hell I wrote in the dark. Because like I have great ideas. But you know what's interesting too? Jumping around here, Anthony Dyer was on our show a while back, and he is an Air Force veteran, United States Air Force veteran, and he was suffering from really bad depression, and he was prescribed by his therapist the same thing to go to, which is to write.
Oh, wow.
And he had never written a word either. And then he couldn't stop writing. And he wound up writing a book himself. Now, your writing that you start and you were working on, was it stories from your life? Was it things from the day? Or was it more the poetry that you ended up publishing?
I would write about things that had happened, and then I started writing sort of like rhymes and stuff, and it just turned into poetry. I would at some point, I think, like to write my life story, like a memoir or something. But yeah, that's something that I've already started. But the poetry was born through that. It was just little simple things that I was writing. And, my youngest daughter, Sian, she's a creative. She's really good. She does spoken word and various other things. And I remember showing them to my daughter. And I said to her, "What do you think?" And she said, "Mum, these are really, really good." Because, I mean, you can think what you're writing's good, but someone else can read it and think it's a load of rubbish. So I really took what Sian was saying as a compliment because she's really good at what she does. And it was my daughter that helped me put the whole thing together.
And the whole thing is called Becoming Me. That's the title. And what I love about it, there's a phoenix on the cover.
There is. And the reason there is a phoenix on the cover, I love the phoenix. It's a mythical bird and it just signifies, I believe, everything that I am, something coming from the ashes, rising up. In fact, on my arm, on my right arm, I have a phoenix, and with the inscription, it says, "Still I rise." That's my favorite piece of poetry by the great Maya Angelou. And every time I feel down, I look at this phoenix and say, you know what? Things are going to get better and I am going to rise. And that's where the phoenix and the cover came from, that concept. I gave the concept to my daughter and she helped me put the whole thing together.
There's a quote from the book. It's time to break the generational curses. It's time to be the ones to stop the cycle.
Mm.
Talk to us about that.
Well, I've gone through an awful lot in my life with family, and I just feel that I am the one that is going to break that cycle of things going round in a loop. I believe that I am the one that has survived certain things that the others can look up to. Because I think sometimes when you're going through things and others see that you have survived and come out on the other side, it makes things easier. One of the things that I have struggled with is abandonment because I am part of the LGBT community. I came out as gay when I was 40, and I have no connection now with my parents for that reason. And when I talk about breaking generational curses and things, those are the things that I am making reference to, getting rid of the hate and things that go on, because a lot of the times things happen in private and in the dark. And me writing this book and getting things out there, I want things to come out into the light.
Now, you don't know if they've read the book, do you?
I don't know if they've read the book now.
What do you imagine would their response be? Would you want them to read the book?
I would want them to read the book, but I was raised in a really religious background. If I said knocking on doors, you would know which religion I am talking about. So I don't expect there to be any change anytime soon. It's really, really painful. It's very, very difficult. And like I've said, this was one of the reasons why I started writing, because abandonment is a really difficult thing to deal with. It's difficult as a child. It's difficult as an adult. It's just difficult, full stop. Someone messaged me in my DMs and said, "Why did you start writing?" And I said one word: survival. It was about me surviving. It was about me finding myself and finding healing and trying to figure out at 58 my place in the world, where I belong. Because for a long time, I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I just didn't fit in. That's what the writing was about. And these are the themes and things that are reflected in my work in the book. That's what it's inspired by.
Speaking for myself, I wanted so badly to fit in, not knowing in the 1970s, late 70s, early 1980s that I was gay, even though people around me later on in my life said, "Oh, we knew you were gay." And sometimes when again, anybody listening who's straight, don't say that to a gay person. It's not it's not helpful. It doesn't make us feel better. It's not like, I know you mean well, but it's like, that's not I didn't know what I was. I just knew I was different. And
Mm.
I thought differently, I felt differently, and I wanted so badly to fit in, but you hit it so well. It's like you hit your teenage years, and for me, I was a late bloomer in a lot of ways. It was more in my college years when I was like, why am I trying so hard to be like everybody else? I want my voice to come out. And I think that's so important as a writer. I really strive to make sure that you can hear my voice. And I feel like that might be the case for you too.
I think, like Sarah, you get to a place in your life where you are done dimming your light. You are done shrinking. You are done being quiet. I have been quiet for a lot of my life, and I have just fitted in to boxes that people placed me in. And like I said, I hit about 40 and I just thought, I don't want this for myself anymore. I need to be me. And I wasn't even sure what that felt like or what it looked like. But it's hard because some people were accepting, other people weren't accepting, and it can have a knock on your mental health and where you fit in and who you are. But I would have to say in the last few years, I've been more comfortable in my own skin with who I am. I mean, last year you may have seen me, I was on billboards up and down the country, of which I am really proud of. I was a part of a campaign that the LGBT Foundation did, which was what it meant to be a woman in 2025. And they were on billboards all across the UK. So I was really proud of being a part of that, of being seen, because I felt like I have lived a lot of my life being unseen. And if you meet me, it's really weird because I've got a big personality, but I just still felt like I just didn't fit in anywhere. And it's only as I've got older that I feel like I've found my place, I've found my voice, and I've found my feet. It's taken me a while, but I feel like I've arrived.
Would you have done those billboards in that campaign 25 years ago?
No, not at all. No, I wouldn't, because I was scared. I was scared of what people thought, of what they were going to say. I was I was selected based on my story. You know, I put my story in and I was selected based on that, because the person who read it said that they seen my story as just, quote, inspirational. I'm a domestic violence survivor. You know, I've raised 3 children on my own. It took me 3 attempts to get my degree. Everything in my life that I've done, it's never been linear. It's been quite difficult. So I'm proud of everything that I've achieved and the things that I have done. But I think when someone picks up my book, one of the things that I said that I wanted was, I hope it inspires someone in some way in whatever it is that they're going through, that they can get through it and come through the other side. I mean, some of the feedback I've had from people is that it's moving, that I've got a gift. I don't see myself as having a gift, but this is some of the feedback that I've had already. And I'm quite touched because, like I've said to you, it was something that I didn't write for the public. I wrote it for me, but it was my daughter that gave me the confidence and the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to put this out there and I'm going to see what comes back.
Let's talk for a second about the 1 million reading Black books this summer campaign.
Mm.
Tell us about that.
So I saw that on Instagram and I decided that I wanted to get involved because I wasn't an avid reader before. I struggled reading and I've only just started reading since I retired. I would like take a book on holiday and I would never finish it. I'd probably get through the first few pages. I read Nobody's Girl on holiday. I picked up that book and I couldn't put it down. And after I read that book, that's when I delved and I started reading. But I saw this campaign that was going on, and I haven't read a lot of books by Black authors. But one of the books I've read recently is Kin. I read that twice. I read it on holiday and I read it again when I came home. That was something that hit home with me because it was talking about mothers and friendship and not knowing your parents and stuff about abandonment. I think that's why I read that and it resonated with me. But I wanted to get involved, and because I am now an author, I'm an author of colour, and I just wanted to get involved with the campaign and I wanted to read more books. And also there's a bookshop down in Brighton. It's the only shop in the whole of the UK that houses books for Black authors, and my book is going to be there. So, yeah, I'm proud of that, but I also just want to get involved as well. I do.
Yes, and just to clarify, it's 1 million people reading. We're not expecting you to read 1 million books.
No, it's 1 million people reading. Yeah, there is no way on God's green earth that I could read a million
I
books.
know, because the word people, they didn't
No.
put the word people in it. I was just like, okay,
Oh, didn't
I was
they?
like, this could
No.
get slightly confusing. No, that's all good. That's all good.
I'm not sure whether they just want it to be people of colour or it's 1 million people that they're encouraging to delve into reading work by Black authors.
Our slogan for 2026, we pick one every year. It is simple. It is say yes. So my question to you, my friend, what are you saying yes to right now?
What am I saying yes to? Wow. If I think about my brother, I always think about my brother. I would say yes to being more kind, being a decent person, and being a decent individual. That's what I'm saying yes to.
And we close these shows with 3 easy questions. The easiest one is the first one. Where do people find your books? And where do people follow you online? Plug away.
You can find the book on Amazon, Pegasus Publishers, anywhere that sells books. If you click on the link on my page, I am at Sandra Blog Daily. If you go under my bio, there is a link which takes you straight to the book. It gives you a flavour about the book, a little bit about me, the author, and if you want to purchase, all the details are there.
And the final two questions can go back to anything we've already spoken about or anything you want to say. Question number one is this: who inspires you?
Who inspires me? That's very simple. The people that inspire me are the people that kept me going, who my book is dedicated to. That would be my 3 children, Sasha, Sean, and Montel. Because like I said in my dedication, on the days where I felt like I couldn't go on the days where I felt like the mornings were punishment, it was my children that inspired me to keep going and to be a better person and be a better mother and basically show them what you can achieve and what you can do when the odds are stacked against you. They showed me a reason to keep going. So my children inspire me. They inspire me each and every day. I'm proud of them. I'm proud of what they've achieved. My son with his autism, they told me that he would never work and he would never finish school, and he surpassed all expectations. My girls have done university and they inspire me. I couldn't wish for better children, so my children inspire me every day.
Please adopt me. The final question is not a question. It is a statement to finish. You can finish it any way you like. It goes like this: tell me something good.
Tell you something good. My book was published.
Thank you, Sandra, for sharing your good with us. Next time on World Gone Good.
There's something intrinsically nice, whatever job you do, about helping people. And like when I was at this event the other day for Careers Mentor, we went around the table and the student asked everybody whether they worked in finance or civil service, me, of what's the reason you get into the work you do? What do you enjoy about it? And everybody said people. Nobody said the money.
Joe Beach does not want you to call him an entrepreneur. I repeat, do not call him that. It's kind of what he does, but he doesn't see himself that way. He sees himself as a people person. And that's exactly what he's passing on to the students he speaks with and mentors. Look, we all got bills, right? And to pay them, we got to do something. But how do we decide what that something is? And what do we do when, for some of us, 25 years in, let's say, we realize maybe this isn't what I want to be doing or should be doing? Joe is the creative driving force behind his own company, Signal and Gain, and he's got a lot of good to share on all those fronts. I can't wait for you to hear our conversation. It's oh so good on our next all-new episode. Until then, be good.